First answer: I have been working at a restaurant for 3 or more years during my undergraduate. My last year, Mother's Day, fell on the weekend of my final exams and the weekend before I graduated. I told him more than 3 months in advance that I would need the day because I was going to need to study and write papers. They told me that it probably wouldn't be a problem, but of course it was just a request and for time off. Fast forward to about 3 weeks before Mother's Day, and of course they tell me that they are going to need me to work. I brought in my 2 weeks notice the next day and told him that I wouldn't be working Mother's Day or any day after that. Not quite a direct no, but was extraordinarily satisfying to see the look on manager's face. Second answer: may a little weird, but the first time I realized I have my own opinion and make choices by myself. It was in second grade that this girl jumped on me and wanted to fight. I was stronger and not wanting to fight. I just held her arms until she gave up. Later, she told our teacher I started the fight and bullied her. The teacher wanted me to apologize and stared at me. The girl was crying and offering me her hand, and the entire class waited outside for me to say sorry so that the teacher would let us go for a break. And I just said no. I know this is kind of stupid, but it was the first time that I stood up for myself and realized that my opinion counts too. Third answer: I left the job in management due to being severely underappreciated and overworked. My boss had a way with words to make things my fault. It would throw me under the bus and either turn possible and constantly undermine me. She chalked this up to her wild pregnancy hormones, but it was a pattern well before pregnancy. I finally got the nerve to quit and told her she could obviously do the job better alone. Fast forward 6 weeks and she's calling me to offer the job back because she's about to go in maternity leave. She was unable to find anyone to fill my shoes. Meanwhile, half of her staff quit, the other half act a fool because she has no sense of authority, discipline. I was more than thrilled to decline. Fourth answer: a couple of years ago, I was working for minimum wage. I only accepted the job because I was on unemployment at the time and needed the experience, as I was starting over in a new industry. Besides, that pay rate was supposed to be temporary, just until I proved myself. 6 months later, I had enough and found another job where I was paid a much more acceptable rate. I put in my 2 weeks notice, and the next day the boss calls me into his office. He asked me if I would stay if he doubled my pay. I acted like I was thinking about it, and then I got to say no. They offered me more than that to start off this. So there's definitely more room to grow with them. Thanks, but next Friday's still my last day. Fifth answer: kind of. I was a junior manager at a popular shoe store. My manager was a giant bitch. My then fiancee's father had just committed suicide while my fiancee was in tech school, and he was in shock and headed home. We are very much each other's support, and I can't imagine not being there for him in a crisis. She had been there when he called me crying inconsolable the night he found out. Anyway, when I found out he was coming home, I immediately told her I needed these days off to be with him. She said I couldn't because she had some minor thing planned or some shit. I just calmly said, okay, well, I'll have my resignation in tomorrow. She just stared at me like, oh shit. And of course, I got those days off. I made a better sales than she did, even though she stole mine all the time. There was no way she could have made it look like a rational decision. Sixth answer: I had asked a girl at work if she could work late for me one day so that I could go to the only available psychologist appointment available for months. She said no because she had to go and buy dog food after work. A week later, she asked me could I swap a shift with her so she could go to movies with friends. It felt great saying, no, I have to go and buy milk after work. Seventh answer: right out of the college, I ended up working for Verizon. It was all commission, but I'm from a family of salespersons, so even in miserable 2 weeks, I'd average $1,000 a week, and on good weeks, I'd hit twice that by Wednesday or Thursday and take Friday off. I hated the job, felt dirty about doing it, certainly wasn't helping anyone. Long commute, horrible team motivation meetings. Everyone was 100% focused on like team synergy, energy dollars, earnings for cash powers, most important dollar wins. Either way, my boss knew I was good and called me into his office one day. He gave me this speech like, you are a really good salesman. You train your employees well. You are performing much better than expected. But I can tell you, your energy just isn't here with us on the dollar synergy team. I can see you opening your own branch of money dollars earned enterprises. I'm fine with the work you are doing, but I can see you doing more. Don't you want it? He passed. Don't you want to see yourself where I am in a few years? Which was really a life-changing moment for me. No, I'm sorry, Gary, but no, I don't want that at all. I'm gonna call this my 2 weeks notice and go get a job at hospital or something. I'll close out my territory and give any of my unresolved leads to someone else, but you're right. I'm totally not into this. It was a cool moment that kind of threw my early 20s figure shit out into sharp focus. Ended up going back to school afterward, and I'm now working as an ICU nurse while getting my doctorate. Eighth answer: an ex-girlfriend who had cheated on me her first semester at the college that both of us were going to asked me if we could still be friends. I told her no. Friends are people I know I can trust, but I can't trust you anymore. Ninth answer: some dude in the locker room holds up his hand for a high five before swiping it away at the last second and mocking. Oh, I bet you thought you had a friend. Fast forward later on, and we are on our way to the cafeteria. Like every couple of days, he asks me to get him something from the line because he is out of money. Today I finally agree. We get up to the lunch lady and I get my food and begin to walk away. He goes, "Wait, you were gonna get me something." I look back at him and say in sad voice, "Oh, I bet you thought you had a friend," before turning around and walking away. 10th answer, I just screamed no at my roommate at the end of the USA Portugal match a few minutes ago. It was satisfying insofar as had I not screamed no, I probably would have broken a window or punched a stranger in the face. It's the little wins that count. Unfortunately, the USA didn't just secure a little win. 11th answer, watching one of my ex-girlfriends walking around a party, constantly hitting on guys in front of me. I still really liked her at the time, and she knew I was wrapped around her finger. After prancing around like that, intentionally pissing me off, she finally came over to me and asked if I would like to get out of here. And as hard as it was for me to say it, I felt so much better after saying a simple no and watching her get all angry afterwards. 12th answer, I hope I speak for many when I relay the utter satisfaction of refusing to cover a shift for someone who makes your life at work a living hell, and has unfortunately landed themselves into a hungover pickle on a Sunday morning. Telling that asshole I have an important commitment and then rolling over into my sweet, sweet bed. The only true thing I ever want to commit to. Shit, it doesn't get better.